The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, joining us at ACC Tip-Off in Charlotte. Steve Forbes, Wake Forest head men's basketball coach. Coach, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, yeah, love to be here. It's great.
I noticed something different about you at events like this. Most coaches, we see them come down that escalator over there. It's the first time we had seen them. They run over here, they do their interviews, and then it's like, poof, they disappear.
Yeah.
But I come down to get some breakfast here, and you're sitting with the media, eating breakfast.
Well,
chatting.
I drove down this morning, and I got here kind of early. I didn't know how the traffic would be, and I saw David Teal over there, and I really respect David. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to go over there and visit with him, and then Goodman sat down next to me, so then I left. But no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, that's why we're here, to see people and interact and promote your program, promote the league.
Is it intentional? Like, do you set out with that kind of idea to be the man of the people when everyone else gets off their private jet and then back on the? You're talking about traffic. That's the most relatable thing you could talk about.
No. That's just who I am. Mm-hmm. One thing you'll find with me, what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. And I would hope people would understand that that's very genuine. Mm-hmm. I like people. I'm in a people business, and so I just like being out and talking to people.
All right. Well, you're in the people business. Again, most teams here bring 2 players. You bring 3.
I did.
What is it about those 3 people?
Well, because I have 3 really good.
And we're talking about Hunter Salas, Efton Reed, and Cameron Hilton, just so everybody else knows.
They tried to enforce some policy that we could only bring 2, and I said, I'm either bringing 3 or 0. So, I mean, you just can't differentiate between those 3 because they're all really important players to our program, and I think to the league. I mean, Hunter Salas is a first-team All-League player. He's a newcomer of the year in the league. Had a great year, went in the draft, could have went, came back. Most times that doesn't happen. I broke down and cried when he came back, and in a good way. Cameron Hilton is a 4-year guy. How many more of those guys are we going to see? And maybe in my career, I don't know.
A redhead 4-year guy from England.
From London. Bangers and mash, he's he's going to be a 3-year starter. He's already scored 1,000 points in his career. I think he's one of the hardest playing guys in college basketball. And then you got Efton Reed back, who's one of the better bigs in our league and a tremendous leader on and off the court. So those guys are just outstanding players and outstanding people. So I'm excited to have them here. They deserve this.
We're talking with Steve Forbes, Wake Forest head men's basketball coach. I want to focus in on Efton Reed because I was looking up on his history. Mm-hmm. This is the first time since his sophomore and junior year of high school that he's been at the same school with the same coach for 2 consecutive years. What can that do for it? Like he's a big with a unique skill set, but he's been trying to learn the system every year for the last 4 or 5 years.
I think stability's been really good for him, and I think this is why he's evolved really truthfully as a leader. And we don't always have, everybody talks about having a leader, okay, but most guys can't lead themselves. So you can't be a leader if you can't lead yourself. And he does all the right things on and off the court. And so I think him, being established at Wake, and then this is really the first full year he's going to have too. You think about it, last year he missed 9 games because of this waiver situation. The year before at Gonzaga, minimal playing time. So really his freshman year at LSU is the last time he's really played a whole season. Mm-hmm. And so I think he's excited, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
I want to go back to something you said earlier in the conversation when Hunter decided to come back. You cried those happy tears.
I did. I was driving. I almost drove off the road. No. Yeah, you just don't win that. You just don't get that. It just doesn't happen a lot.
So a player goes into like you said, put his name in the NBA draft, brought it back out, and came back to school. Does he come with a checklist of the NBA said I need to be on ball more, I need to shoot the 3 more, and do you work on that?
It's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we do any of that to handicap our team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's some things that he can do more, but we were going to do that anyway. Like his usage rate had to go up a little bit, even though he had the ball in his hands a lot. It's probably not enough. Some of that is on him because I think last year he was developing into the role of being the alpha male. He hadn't been that, he'd been at Gonzaga. So sometimes because they have other guys, and sometimes I had to say, go get the ball, there
were a few games where you could tell he was feeling it. And the 30 plus.
I mean, for the most part, but there was times like, dude, you got to have the ball in your hands. We went in a situation, I went and clocked it when we lost at Virginia by 1. think he went 17 minutes without a shot. Now, that's on him, too, not just the team, you know. And so now there's obviously less possessions in those games. But I think that evolution, I think, you know, playing some point, you know, being a little bit more of a distributor, but not getting away from being a scorer because we need him to score.
Steve Forbes, Wake Forest head men's basketball coach. I'm sure you've heard this about your team last year and in recent years a bunch, which is you're fantastic at home. And we have the stats, right? 17 wins last year at home, 21 wins overall. Since the 2021-22 season, you're second in the country in home wins. Do you take training camp to like local high schools to just get used to different gyms? Is there a way you can?
I don't know.
Is there a way you can work on just traveling better?
It's a good question. I mean, I've had some, you know, you start thinking about all of those kind of things, right? When you go through.
I'm an overthinker by nature, so I'm gonna try it all.
I'm a routine guy, okay, and I've coached a lot of most places where we had no trouble winning on the road, and so I haven't really bought into that. Maybe with this team we'll do some different things, but I think it's more just your mentality and then toughness down the stretch in those games. Look, it's one thing to go get beat on the road and get blown out, but when all these games are coming down to the last 2 or 3 possessions, you have to play the right way. You have to have the perfect defensive possession and offensive possession. And I think if you just look at the numbers, my teams the last 3 years are outstanding offensively, can really score. But you can't just outscore your opponent all the time. You have to defend, and especially at the right time of the game. And so I'm hoping that, you know, them growing up a little bit more will have something to do with that. Plus, I think, as you'll see with our team, we're just a lot more athletic than we have been, and that helps defensively.
I did see 3 former 5-star high school recruits on your roster this year. I believe 6 in the history of Wake Forest. So 50% of them are on the team right now.
Well, you know, I get those McDonald's All-Americans for Happy Meals. You know, they go for Big Mac. I get them for a Happy Meal, you know.
Second try, third try is a charm.
You know, just you know, they sometimes you just don't go to the right place. You know, it's not disrespect to the programs they were at. It's just one of those things where, you know, it just didn't work out. And so you know, Omaha Blue's a good guy. I mean, he's like Hunter, you know, and he's got a chance to be a really good player, and he's young. He's only a sophomore, and so excited to have him on the team.
Steve, we appreciate you for taking the time.
Always a pleasure.